All right, getting in breaking inputs, shifting focus as India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, while speaking at an event in IIT Madras, spoke about his recent visit to Bangladesh and India's approach to regional relations. To quote the External Affairs Minister verbatim, he says, "I was in Bangladesh just 2 days ago to represent India at the funeral of former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia. On India's relations with its neighbours, Jaishankar has also added, and let me quote, "Our approach is guided by common sense. With good neighbours, India invests, helps and shares." Addressing the issue of terrorism, Dr. Jaishankar said, "But when it comes to bad neighbours who persist with terrorism, India has every right to defend its people and will do whatever is necessary. You cannot request us to share our water with you and also spread terrorism in our country." Let's listen in to that statement coming in from Dr. Jaishankar.
Yes, I was there in Bangladesh just 2 days ago. I had gone to represent India at the funeral of the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia. Wherever actually there's a sense of good neighborliness, I think you have seen India invest, India help, India share. So, we were talking about the COVID. Most of our neighbors got their first shipment of vaccines from India. Again, when our vaccination program was still going on, the Ukraine conflict. Because of the Ukraine conflict, there was there were food shortages, there were fuel shortages, there were financial crises. Now, some neighbors went through very exceptional stresses. A very notable one was Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka actually had an acute financial crisis. And we actually stepped up with a package of $4 billion at a time when, their negotiations with the IMF were still sort of moving at a very glacial pace. But you can also have bad neighbors. Unfortunately, we do. Now, when you have bad neighbors, and, if you look to the one to the west, if a country decides that they will deliberately, persistently, unrepentantly continue with terrorism, we have a right to defend our people against terrorism. We will exercise that right. Many years ago, we agreed to a water sharing arrangement, because the belief, the underpinning of that was, it was a gesture of goodwill, because for good neighborliness we were doing it. But if you had decades of terrorism, there is no good neighborliness. If there is no good neighborliness, you don't get the benefits of that good neighborliness. You can't say, I will, please share water with me, but I will continue terrorism with you.
All right, let's quickly go across to Siddhant Mishra, who's joining me live on the broadcast with more perspective. Siddhant, while referring to his recent visit to Bangladesh, the External Affairs Minister has very skillfully delivered a very key and critical message to Pakistan, while not just hitting out at the country for giving say, a safe space for terrorism to thrive, but also for the role that it's playing in Bangladesh.
Well, that's right, Akanksha. In fact, while speaking at IIT Madras, EAM Jaishankar explained how has been India's behavior with the good neighbors and with the bad neighbor. Now, with good neighbors, India invests, India shares, India sends vaccines, India contributes in the developmental projects. In fact, he also highlighted that how India helped Sri Lanka during the financial crisis by extending loans over $4 billion. In fact, he also highlighted that during Ukraine crisis, how India helped the neighboring countries with food and supplies. But when it comes to bad neighbor, which is Pakistan, perhaps India has all the right to defend its people, its territory. And in fact, this could also be seen as the first response from EAM Jaishankar, because yesterday, if you remember, Akanksha, there is a response from Pakistan's foreign ministry, perhaps complaining that India has given clearance to the hydro project on the Chenab River, and Pakistan was not informed about it, which could lead India to choke Pakistan's water. So they are now complaining. But the fact is that the treaty has been put in abeyance because of the cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. So in fact, EAM, in a way, it is a first response from the Indian side,
Right.
that you cannot expect that the terrorism and water will be shared side by side. So in a way, he explained India's policy towards good neighbors and
Yes.
bad neighbors.
So when you talk about that good neighbor versus bad neighbor, what is the message going out there for Bangladesh, given that he not only was present at the last rites of Begum Khalida Zia, he also in fact presented a letter which was personally penned by Prime Minister Modi?
Well, definitely, because with BNP, India has very old ties. Perhaps in the first term of Khalida Zia, the relations with Bangladesh were stable. In the second term, the relations were shaky because BNP came in power with the support of Jamaat Islami. So they raised issues of water sharing, connectivity, etc., etc. But you see, Akanksha, both BNP and Awami League are seen as democratic in their approach, are seen as liberal political parties in Bangladesh. When you compare them with the other political groups existing in Bangladesh, like NCP, like some elements in the interim government, Jamaat Islami, their outlook is radical, supporting extremism, etc., etc. So so given that and the close relationship of India with BNP, India sent its foreign minister to pay last respects to former Prime Minister Khalida Zia. So it was a signaling in a way that India is looking forward to work with BNP if BNP comes to power in February, and also a message that because this narrative has deliberately been peddled that India sided with Sheikh Hasina, India stayed one-sided in Bangladesh, etc., etc.
Right.
So this visit also a message for all those who have been accusing India of siding with Sheikh Hasina, that India is more than willing to work with BNP if they come to power. And this is not just the first gesture. In fact, Prime Minister Modi last month extended support to the family of Khalida Zia for treatment
True.
and support in medical assistance. So time and again, India has been engaging with BNP. In fact, Indian High Commissioner in Bangladesh also met senior BNP leaders.
All right.
Tariq Rahman was welcomed in India because he spoke about inclusivity, he spoke about free and fair elections, etc., etc.
Right.
So definitely the message is clear that any force which is liberal in outlook, which is democratic, and is ready to work with India. India is more than ready to engage with that political group in Bangladesh.
Absolutely. Prime Minister also had a very heartwarming message when he recalled his last meeting with Begum Khalida Zia, where he had also shared that picture with her. But many thanks to you, Siddhant, for sharing all those detailed inputs.